Hi, everybody. So today I am here to do my weekly How Do They Rank video, but this week I didn't see any new movies. There wasn't anything I was interested in. I'd basically caught up with everything that I was slightly interested in that already come out, and I just had all these opportunities to see other things and do other things, and so I didn't get any new films. Plus, I've been working on my Hallmarks podcast, getting ready for that. We just did Loves Come Softly series. Now we're doing When Calls the Heart. I watched Chesapeake Shores. Anyway, there's just been a lot of other stuff. I haven't seen any new 2017 releases this week. So I thought what might be kind of fun is to go over, I have the opportunity to see quite a few previously issued films as re-releases, there's lots of different ways that I end up seeing, whether it's Studio Ghibli Fest that's going on right now with GKIDS, whether it's Turner Classic Movies. I am a member of their Backlot Club, so I get in free once, it's like every couple months. Also, Cinemark Classics has a series that sometimes I go see. Also, you have other Fathom events, exclusives, Fathom events, and then also there's the Utah Film Center, which has re-releases. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of go over and sort of rank these classic films that I've seen. Obviously, these are all good films because they're classic films. Also, there in Utah, there's a theater chain called the Megaplex that is doing a cinema silver screen classics. They did it last year. They're doing it again this year. So it's really fun. So there's that. There's just tons of different ways to see these films, these classic films. And I encourage you to look for them because it really is a special thing when you can see these films on the big screen. And so I'm going to go over and what I did is I ranked them based on what I would want to see. Like if I had a free evening and I only had these 21 films to pick from, which is the one I would pick first and which is the one I would pick last. First of these 21 films that I would pick out, I saw it at the AMC for their Disney Princesses Dream Big series, which is just starting. There's going to be 6 Disney Princess films that are going to be shown over the next 6 months. And so I really encourage you to go see it there. I saw the original 1991 classic Beauty and the Beast. So that would be my first choice out of these 21 films. And I felt kind of frustrated. I felt like that the live action version kind of exposed some of the weaknesses of the animated film for me. And so I was kind of resentful about that. Just that Belle can be a little bit of a snot, and she's sort of turning up her heads at the people in the town and thinks she's kind of better than them and some of their stuff so there are some weaknesses in Beauty and the Beast, but I have to say watching it on the big screen was just such a joyous experience for me. I love the songs, especially with the performers that they got, the great voice actors, and it's just so beautiful, the animation and the story about looking for the good inside is beautiful. Next choice would be All About Eve. This is an amazing film about this film has, I think, the best script I have ever seen in any film ever. It's perfect. It has so many quotable lines. There's going to be a bumpy night, and I just love sort of the trajectory of Bette Davis's character. I think Eve is so duplicitous and interesting, and really well played by Anne Baxter. I like the male performances. I think they're really good. I think that they managed to make likable characters out of these celebrities, basically, and they have very human moments, very weak moments, very vulnerable moments, and I just love it. It's so good. My next choice would be My Neighbor Totoro. I saw at the Ghibli Fest, and I just think My Neighbor Totoro is magical. I love the way that it treats these 2 girls as authentic, real people with feelings, and just little things like when they get the corn for the mom, how moving that is, and when she's gone, and the Totoro and the cat bus, and I just I love it. Number 4 choice would be The Lion King. I saw this also at AMC Theaters for the release of, they did a release of The Lion King in memory of the Blu-ray, or to celebrate the Blu-ray signature edition coming out. So if you haven't gotten that signature edition, make sure you get it, because it could go in the vault for a long time. Love the moment when Simba cries out and says, "You promised you'd always be there," and has that, just, I feel like that is such a raw moment, and that definitely always gets to me and makes me cry, and then when Rafiki says, "He lives in you," voice would be E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I just saw this last weekend. That's one of the things I was doing instead of seeing a new film, and this is to celebrate the 35th anniversary of E.T. They had it playing I saw it at the Cinemark also, but it was a Fathom event, and they're actually, yeah, and I love seeing Elliot and the emotional growth. Like, he's such a, I love movies that sort of dare to examine the loneliness of childhood. I love Where the Wild Things Are, Lilo and Stitch, and I think that E.T., My Neighbor Totoro would be one. I think that is so important, and they treat children like they're actual, like, human beings. That Henry Thomas's performance is just one of the best ever in the history of child actors. I think the music is just so wonderful. When they do fly off on their bikes, it's very, very whimsical and exciting and lovely, and the relationship between E.T. and Elliot is just so good. And I just love it. I think it's great. 6 is also when I saw at Ghibli Fest, and this is Castle in the Sky. This was my first time seeing Castle in the Sky, and I was honestly blown away. I love just the colors and the imagery and just the characters. I thought were so good. I liked both the male character and the female character. I thought they were really good. I thought that all of the designs and the adventure and the pirates and the everything, it was just so, like, fun. This movie was really fun. The animation was amazing. The music was amazing. It probably used music just about as well as any of Miyazaki's films. 7 is also from Ghibli Fest. It's also Miyazaki, and it is Kiki's Delivery Service. And this has beautiful animation. It's another movie from Miyazaki that treats children as independent, authentic people that have real emotions that we should take seriously. And when Kiki gets depressed, I just think it's such an emotionally true moment, and I love how different people kind of come into her life to help her deal with that, and when she loses her powers and what goes into that. I think that it's of course, beautifully animated, but it just has a really great heart to it, and it's just a lovely movie. For 8 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This was re-released for the, I guess, 40th anniversary, I think, or something like that. Anyway, it was re-released for some anniversary, and I just love this movie. It's interesting because when I first saw it in college, I was like, oh, that was kind of boring. But for some reason last year when I saw it, it just really clicked with me, and I really appreciated it because to me it had this real sort of fake news kind of message about the media and how the Richard Dreyfuss character and the Linda Dillon character, like, they know what they saw and they know what their life experience is, and they try to communicate that, but nobody will listen to them, and they're told that they're crazy and everything like that. And just the way that sort of the movie kind of comments on media, and also, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's very moving that when it's sort of a message of trusting your instincts, trusting who you are, and just keep following it, keep going. And I think the ending is layered and moving and wonderful, and I just really like the characters. I like the story. I like kind of what it has to say about faith and hope. Number 9 is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. This was another anniversary Fathom event showing, and this movie is like just about a perfect sci-fi movie. And I understand some feel like it's not a true like Trek movie because it definitely is sort of a revenge piece, and it's not as sort of heady as some of other Trek movies. But I love Ricardo Montalban and William Shatner. They're sort of battling back and forth, and how Kirk basically sort of outsmarts. Well, they each kind of outsmarted Khan and Kirk, both outsmart each other at different times. But you have an amazing emotional scene at the end between Spock and Kirk, and that's very, very, very good. And it's earned, and it feels emotional. And I think it looks really good. There's really creepy kind of horror parts with the bug and everything. And I don't know, I just think it is very, very entertaining, tightly made, tightly written sci-fi film with really good performances. Have Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I saw this in a marathon before War of the Planet of the Apes, and this is still my favorite of the series. I think that it has really interesting things to say about memories and humanity and kind of what makes us human versus the apes. And I love Gary Oldman in this. I think it's such an emotional moment when he finally gets to see his family again. I think it manages to still be fun, certainly more fun than War, that's for sure, with sort of the Rambo ape stuff, and I really enjoy that. And so it balances out the tone, I think, really well. And I love Caesar in it. I love Koba, sort of that debate between like peace and appeasement. You know, do they seek for peace, or do they protect their family? And that's sort of Koba's side is protection. Caesar's side is, peace at almost all costs. Next up, I have Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw this before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I think that this movie does such a good job of building this team and like basically making the team into this family. And that's one of the things I really didn't feel in the second one, because it split them all up. And I really liked how they all the characters kind of balanced each other's out with different parts of the personality. You'd have like the naiveness of Drax, and you'd have the sarcasm of Rocket, and you'd have Star-Lord, and you have all these personalities together. And I enjoyed spending time with them, zipping around the galaxy looking for these Infinity Stones. And I didn't really need much more than that. It was funny. The music was like this little gift that you could enjoy. And I really felt like the second one was a pretty big step down for me. 12 is A Cat in Paris. I saw this at Utah Film Center for one of their special screenings. And this is a really good film. It's very underrated. I think it did get nominated for Academy Award, but I really like this. It's a film noir story about this girl whose mother is a cop, whose father's been killed. There's these gang members, Two-Face, that are basically out to get the mom and stop her investigating the death of her husband. And you have this cat who kind of is in between. There's this robber, the cat burglar, who kind of becomes involved as well. And it has actually a ton of heart. It has a really cool visual style, and it's very, very engaging and creative, and I really like it. It has a different portrayal of a single mom than you typically see, where she is sort of a little bit more flawed than maybe the sort of like perfect, strong single mom, but still a good mom and still there for her daughter. So I really like Cat in Paris. It's great. So next up, for number 13, I have Time Bandits, and I also saw this at the Utah Film Center. This one, I recognize that the plot is kind of meandering and all over the place, but Terry Gilliam, I think that it's so creative, and I just have fun with this one. I enjoy the adventure. I enjoy, especially as a kid, when you have basically like the child in Time Bandits is the smartest person in the room at all times. It's kind of like Matilda in a way. And it's just about them, this boy and these little people, pirates, going around to different parts of time and experiencing things and stealing stuff. And I think it's fun. 14 is Clue, and I saw this at a Cinemark Classics screening. And I think that this movie is also a lot of fun. You get the multiple endings, which is enjoyable. You get all these characters. The acting's really fun and campy, and you got sort of the who did it, and people keep dying, and Tim Curry's really good, and Leslie Ann Warren I really like, and so it's good. So that I have a 14. Number 15 is The Castle of Cagliostro, Lupin the Third. This was Hayao Miyazaki's first ever film that he did. This was part of a Fathom event that I went to, and I had seen this once before. I did a review for rotoscripters.com, and when I first saw it, I felt like Lupin was kind of unlikable, and so I struggled with that. But I have to say, the second time, I definitely got more immersed and just sort of enjoyed it a little bit more. He's definitely sort of a smart aleck, and but I don't know. I just kind of warmed up to it. The animation is really nice. It's an enjoyable film. So that comes at number 15. Number 14, I have Minuscule: The Valley of the Lost Ants. This is, I think, way underrated. I did an obscure animation review of this. Has beautiful animation of these ants that is set in the real cinematography in the south of France. And it's a really cute story that kind of becomes epic towards the end with this like ant battles. And at first they're just trying to get this box of sugar, which is super cute. And it's just really, I think that if people saw this, I think this would be a real favorite of many people. I saw this at Utah Film Center. For 17, this is going to seem crazy low for a lot of people, but I have The Godfather at number 17. I'm just not that big into mob movies, gang movies, mafia movies, whatever. I'm just not. That's just not my thing. It's a really long movie, but it's like super well done for its genre, and I had a great time seeing it with my friend Stanford. And so I did enjoy it a lot more on the big screen. The score is great. The performances are great. It definitely has some cool sort of messaging behind it as far as that, loyalty and trust and family, of course, and things like that. Like, it's an enjoyable film. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And I've never been as high on this as other people. A lot of people, it's their favorite of the trilogy, which I understand. I like it. Again, all these movies are classics. But I don't know. I just the special effects aren't all that great in this one. They don't hold up that well, and I'm not that invested in James Franco and Caesar's kind of relationship. And this one's just a little bit more sort of pedestrian, I would say. Whereas the other ones, I think, take more creative risks and they try different things. And so I like those ones much better than this one. But this is still entertaining and still a solid movie, I think. But ended up being 18. Then I have at 19, I have Ant-Man. This one I saw my local theater was doing a Marvel week. And actually, this is the only one that I ended up being able to see. It was just kind of random. But I really enjoyed this movie. A lot of people don't like it. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that Paul Rudd is super charming, charismatic. I like that to use a pun, it's small. It's just about a heist. It's about a small thing as opposed to you had Age of Ultron with these huge things. My next one is Cool Hand Luke. That is at 20. I just saw this. Another one I saw this week. I saw it on Monday at the Megaplex, Silver Screen Classics. And Paul Newman is so charming in this movie. So charismatic. So great. And it's a good movie. I enjoyed watching it. It's just not my favorite genre. It's a very, very brotastic movie. Very, very. So I don't know. I didn't relate to it all that well, but it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's a pretty long movie, but yeah, it has charismatic performances. It's good, just not my favorite genre. Then number 21, this is the last one, is Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. This also has, of course, Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman, and they're great. This Tennessee Williams, he is a great writer, brilliant. master at what he does. But I don't know, his scripts, his plays, his everything always leaves me feeling a little bit cold and empty. I don't really connect to his characters that well. I mean, all of these in this movie, all of the characters are kind of unlikable and just kind of hard to sort of sympathize with sometimes. They lie to each other. They're just kind of miserable to each other. They're trying to make people unhappy. And it's very well done. The dialogue is super well done. The acting is very good. This is a movie for actors, to really be acting. And I respect that and I like it. But it's just not my favorite. It's the like if I had to pick any of these 21 movies, this is the last one that I would pick to watch. But it's still, like I said, still a good movie. So that is my ranking of these 21 movies that I previously saw that were previously released in the theater. So know what you think about any of these films if you have any comments. And I'm sure there's going to be other weeks where I don't have anything to rank. And I'm going to be continuing to see more movies previously released in the theater. I'm going to be seeing the rest of the Studio Ghibli films. I have the rest of the Silver Screen Classics films. I'm going to be seeing Princess Bride in October, which should be really fun. And so, yeah, it should be a lot of films to look forward to. So hopefully when I have gaps like this week, I can do another edition of this How Do They Rank Classics edition. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.